What if the reason you can't hear God clearly is not because he's being silent? What if it's not that you're doing anything wrong, but something is getting in the way of your clarity? If you've been praying for discernment, asking God what to do, and still feel confused, second guessing, overthinking, stuck, this episode is going to show you exactly why. Because the truth is, it's not just spiritual. Sometimes it's your mind, sometimes it's your body, and sometimes it is spiritual. Today, I'm breaking down all three so that you can actually move forward with clarity and confidence. Welcome back to the podcast, friend. Okay, I just have to say this. This is episode 100. I honestly can't even believe that I am saying that. Whether you've been here from the beginning or you just found this podcast recently, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for doing this work. There have been so many conversations, so many breakthroughs, so many moments where I know that God has been speaking directly to you through these episodes. And this one feels really special because we're talking about something I know that so many of you are walking through right now. You're praying, you're asking God for clarity, you're trying to discern his voice, and you still feel confused and stuck. So let's talk about why. Do you want to step into the calling God gave you and dream big again with him, but feel stuck, buried in doubt, and constantly pulled under by the chaos of everyday life? Hey, I'm Amy, Christian life coach, girl mom, and wilderness season survivor. I help women gain confidence in their calling through spirit-led coaching and prophetic insight, because that's what finally changed everything for me. If you're ready for the confidence to move forward so you can get unstuck, grab a pen and some paper, silence the what's for dinner mental loop, and pop in those earbuds. Let's go. Hey friend, before we jump in, I know you're tired. You're tired of overthinking. You're tired of feeling like you're missing God's plan, tired of praying for clarity, but still spinning in circles. You wake up with good intentions, but you go to bed frustrated that nothing actually changed. You've read the books, you've listened to the sermons, you've taken the courses, you tried to trust God more and pray harder, and yet you still feel stuck. Friend, the truth is you don't need more information. You need transformation. And that's what happens inside your next step breakthrough coaching that I do with you one-on-one. It's 1 powerful hour. We'll uncover what's been keeping you stuck and identify the one step that will finally move you forward with peace, clarity, and confidence. No more circling the mountain. No more wondering if you're broken. You just need your next step, and I can help you find it. Book your call today at amywadlington.com/coaching. I will put a link in the show notes. Okay, let's jump in. I was reading through a journal entry today from 2022. That seems like so long ago, but also not so long ago, if you know what I mean. And I wrote, it's been a really weird season of just surviving. I feel so out of touch with God, with myself, with my business. I'm struggling. I need a shift. I need a breakthrough. I need something. And I remember that feeling so clearly, just totally worn out. Like I was doing all the right things, but nothing was clicking. Nothing felt clear. And as I was praying during that time, God showed me something that honestly caught me off guard. He showed me that I was pregnant, not physically, but spiritually, like something was being formed inside me. And as I was thinking about that today, I started thinking about pregnancy and even more than that, motherhood. Because here's the thing, when you're pregnant, you think you know what it's going to be like. You plan, you prepare, you buy all the things. I remember planning for a baby, getting everything ready, thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to need. And then all of a sudden, 6 months into parenting, my baby didn't fit into her swing anymore, the one that I thought that I needed. And she didn't fit in her bassinet anymore, the one that I paid so much money for. And all of the clothes that I bought, she grew out of them within a year. Everything had to be replaced. And don't even get me started on the stages of parenthood that I was so naive about when I was still pregnant. And honestly, it's probably a good thing because if I had full understanding of how hard it really is to be a mom, the struggles, the exposure of your triggers, the exposure of your unhealed parts, but also the beauty, the depth of the love, the blessings, the heartache, the pain, the fear, the worry, the anxiety. If I had a full understanding of what motherhood was actually going to take, I'm not sure that I would have been so excited to have a baby. But in God's goodness, when you're pregnant, you're just excited. You're excited to hold the baby. You're excited to be a mom. You have these glimpses of what you think it's going to be like, but you really have no idea. And people try to tell you, just wait until they're two. And that's a lie because three is so much harder than two. But I digress. Just wait until they're teenagers is another thing that they say. And you're like, okay, sure. How hard can it be? I was a teenager. I remember what it's like. But the truth is, there is no way to fully understand it until you're in it. Every child is different, every journey is different, every season is different. And that is exactly what it's like to be called by God. You might look at someone and think to yourself, okay, they're doing what I feel like I'm called to do. Maybe you're called to start a podcast like me. Maybe you're called to coach. Maybe you're called to lead and to speak and to build something. And from the outside, it can look really similar, but your story, how you got here, what God walked you through, it's completely different. And that's what makes it so beautiful. Your testimony. God weaves it all together. He knits you together in your mother's womb. He writes your story from day one. He gives you gifts, He gives you talents, and He allows you to go through things that one day may help you get somebody else through. And when you're tired, when everything feels off, when you can't think clearly, and when you're really uncomfortable, nothing feels clear. But it doesn't mean that something's wrong or you're off or that you're not hearing God right. It means something is forming. And some of you right now, you're in that season. You're exhausted. You're praying. You're asking God what to do. And you're thinking, why can't I hear him clearly? And what if it's not that God isn't speaking? What if you're in the middle of a process that you don't fully understand yet? So let's talk about three real reasons that you might be struggling to hear God clearly. And these are the things that I talk about in my coaching: your mind, your spirit, and your body. So, the first reason that you might not be able to discern what God is saying is your mind, your beliefs, your thoughts, your doubt. Because the truth is that faith opens the door and doubt creates interference. Think about Peter walking on water. He stepped out in faith and he was literally walking on water. But the second he shifted his focus, the second doubt crept in, he panicked and he started to sink. And Jesus said to him, "Why did you doubt?" Doubt creates anxiety, it creates overthinking, and that second guessing spiral. And listen, doubt doesn't mean that you're failing, because when Thomas doubted, Jesus met him right where he was. He didn't shame him, he showed him. But he also said, "Blessed are those who believe without seeing." So, yes, there's grace, but doubt will still affect your clarity and your ability to hear God. And a lot of times, what's underneath that doubt are limiting beliefs, things that you picked up somewhere along the way from people, from pain, from past experiences, beliefs like, I'm not qualified to do this, I'm going to mess this up, or I always start things and I never finish, I will never get it right. Sometimes even vows like, I will never put myself out there again. I'll never fail like that again. And those things distort how you hear God. So start looking for proof of God's faithfulness. This is your action step for your mind. Look for proof of God's goodness in your life, in the Bible, and in the lives of people around you. And ask God honestly, just like the Father in the book of Mark, he says, Jesus, I believe, but help my unbelief. That is one of the most powerful prayers that I pray often because sometimes I believe and I want to believe more, but I also doubt. So I ask God, help my unbelief. And then identify one belief that might be getting in your way, one step at a time, one belief at a time. Journal about it and ask God to reveal the truth to you, to shine his light on it, and to get that belief and that vow maybe that you took out of the darkness and into the light so that you can start to believe and to stop doubting. And again, ask God, help my unbelief. Now, the second reason is your spirit. And sometimes it's not confusion, it's misalignment. There could be things like unforgiveness, agreements and vows that you've made, sin patterns, disobedience, maybe spiritual warfare, or even areas where you need healing and deliverance. And here's something that I say a lot sometimes there's grace until there isn't, meaning that God will give you grace in a season, but then there comes a point where he starts exposing things, not to punish you and not because he's mad at you, but to refine you, to take you deeper, to prepare you for what's next. And sometimes you're asking God for clarity, but he's already shown you something and you haven't responded yet. So it feels like silence, but it's actually an invitation to go deeper and closer with him. So, your action step for your spirit is to ask God directly, is there anything that's blocking me from hearing you clearly? And then sit with him silently. Put away the phone, put it in a different room, take away all the distractions, and be willing to respond to whatever it is that he shows you. And sometimes you don't get anything, and that's okay. Sometimes I sit there with God and it's just sitting in his presence, and I just know that he wanted to spend time with me. Sometimes I walk away and I'm like, okay, there was nothing. I didn't hear anything. I didn't get any verses that popped into my head. And then I will walk away and then I'll open my phone and a verse will pop up. Or somebody will say something to me and then God will quicken it in my spirit and be like, this is what I wanted you to hear today. So it's not that you automatically just because you set aside time that you're automatically just going to hear something. Sometimes you just have to be patient and be willing to listen and be willing to see, use all of your senses when you're trying to discern what God is trying to tell you, because sometimes He speaks to us through our dreams, sometimes it's through numbers, sometimes it's through signs, not usually big neon signs right outside your bedroom window that you can see at night when you turn out the lights. But sometimes there's signs and wonders, and sometimes people say things to you. I remember praying when I lost my job in 2020, and I asked God, what's next? And I didn't hear anything for a really long time. And I did 21 days of prayer and fasting. And every day I was asking him, what's next? What's next? And I didn't hear anything. And then a couple of weeks after I was done fasting, somebody said to me, you should be a life coach. And this person is not a believer. And I didn't know what a life coach was. And so I looked it up and I prayed about it. And God was like, that is for you. That is what I was trying to tell you. But I never heard of a life coach before that. I didn't know that that was such a thing. And so I'm not sure if God had said it to me and I didn't understand what he was saying, or if it just needed to be said clearly by somebody in my life who I love and trust, even though uh, they probably heard it from the Holy Spirit, but had no idea that that's where it came from because they aren't a believer. So you never know how God is going to speak to you, but just know that he does. And he is so faithful and he's so good. Just be patient and willing to hear and see and feel and touch and use all of your senses to receive whatever it is that He has for you and be patient because He is so faithful. And then the third reason is your body, which could be your nervous system or your physical state. And this one is really overlooked because so many people think that it's that you don't believe enough or you don't pray enough or it's you're not spiritual enough. But you can do all the right things and you can pray and pray and pray. And there's actually been times when God has told me to stop praying for something. So sometimes you don't need to pray. But when it comes to your body, you cannot hear clearly when you're in a dysregulated body. If your body is in survival mode, you are not going to have clarity because your brain is focused on survival, not discernment. So if you've been in chronic stress, if you're not sleeping, if you're overwhelmed, if your nervous system is constantly activated, it's going to feel like God is silent. And really, your system is just overloaded. And that ties back to the pregnancy analogy, that exhaustion. It didn't mean something was wrong. It meant that your body was doing a lot. You were creating a life. And some of you, you're not spiritually stuck, you're overwhelmed. And sometimes you just need to rest, nourish your body with nutrient dense foods, take out the junk. And when I say that, I mean junk food, junk television, junk books, any type of junk on social media that you're consuming, too much news. Don't even get me started on that because I believe that we are consuming way more information than we were intended to receive. And God has specific things that he puts in front of us for a reason, but when we're on social media, I was thinking the other day, I was going through reels and one would make me laugh and the next one would make me cry and the next one would make me angry. I was on this emotional roller coaster that I was creating myself. And that's a lot for our nervous system to handle, especially if we're already in survival mode. To go onto social media and watch 30-second video after 30-second video after 30-second video that brings our emotions from highs to lows to everything in between. When we sit down to watch a movie, like a 2-hour movie or a television show, it might be scary and everything in it might, there might be a few things in it that bring some laughter, but we know that this is a serious movie or a scary movie. And so we have these expectations for our emotions. But when we're on social media, we don't know what we're going to be hit with. It might be a story of something awful that happened in the news, and then we watch something funny. And I think that's confusing for our bodies. And that raises our cortisol level because our body doesn't know what to expect next. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Uh, so for our body, I want you to pick one area, not everything. You can't change everything overnight and don't even try because that's just going to create more stress and then that puts you deeper into survival mode. So pick one thing. Maybe it's sleep, maybe it's slowing down, maybe it's eating better, maybe it's regulating your nervous system, but don't try to fix everything overnight. Maybe it's just tomorrow I am going to drink all of the water that I'm supposed to drink. I will put lemon in it so that it tastes good. That's all I'm going to do extra. And then the next day, I'm going to drink water and I'm going to go to bed 10 minutes earlier than I usually do and get up 10 minutes later than I usually do. So that adds an extra 20 minutes to your sleep. Pick one thing. Don't focus on everything all at once because then it feels too hard and we give up and we stay stuck in survival mode. So, one thing. Okay, so if you've been praying for discernment, but you still feel confused, check these three things: your mind. Are doubt and beliefs clouding your clarity? And then your spirit. Is there something that God is asking you to address? And your body. Are you too overwhelmed to hear clearly? Because clarity isn't missing, it's being blocked. And remember that sometimes when we're praying for clarity, what we're really seeking is certainty. And certainty doesn't require faith. We don't always have the full picture. Sometimes we just have to have faith to take that next step without knowing for sure what it is. We put on the armor of God. We trust Him. We build a relationship with Him so that we can trust Him. We look for proof of His faithfulness, and we have that closeness with Him so that we trust and we have that faith to take that step, and we don't have certainty. It takes faith to just take that next step, one baby step at a time. And friend, if you're tired of spinning, if you're tired of overthinking and second guessing, and you just want to know what God is asking you to do next, that's exactly what we do inside your Next Step Breakthrough Coaching Calls. 1 hour, one focus, one clear next step. And you can book that at amywadlington.com/coaching. And again, I will put a link in the show notes for you. I am so grateful that you are here, my friend. Episode 100. We did it together. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your reviews and for sharing this with others. I really appreciate it. I am so blessed by you, and I pray that this podcast blesses you. And I thank you for just being you and having the faith to step out into what it is that God is calling you to do, because you are a world changer. You are a pioneer. God's got you, and He has something big and beautiful just for you. Thanks so much. I will see you next time. That's it for today, friend. I pray that this episode blessed you or stretched you in all the right ways. If it did, would you please take 30 seconds to share it with another mom who's trying to figure out what God is calling her to do next, or who just needs to hear that she's not too late or behind. All right, go clean off that pile of laundry from the treadmill or the chair or whatever piece of furniture it's currently living on, and I'll see you back here soon for another episode. Bye for now.